Today, I'm going to talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles original 1987 cartoon. And there I am. Let's talk about this, people. The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1987 cartoon was brought about pretty much because Playmates had a new toy line. So the show pilot was shown during the week of December 28th of 1987 in a syndicated 5-part miniseries, which means you'd have to see a new episode every week. And according to Wikipedia, it was launched on 84 stations and being played twice a day. And the show began its official run on October 1st, 1988. Since then, the show and the franchise has become a worldwide phenomenon. Really? Worldwide phenomenon. Show started in 87 and we're still talking about it. Everybody remembers the toys, of course. Playmates released some figures of the four turtles. There was Splinter. There was a Krang figure that was a deluxe Krang figure that had the brain that fit in his chest. There was a Technodrome. But there was also a bunch of minor characters that were released. There was Ace Duck that was only seen on the TV in an episode. I think Mikey was watching the Ace Duck show. But let's go back to the beginning. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a comic book that was in black and white that two buddies, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, created as a joke. They had no clue that it would take off like it did, but it did. So in 87, there was the miniseries. In the miniseries, you get a backstory of how the Turtles came to be, which this is different in the comic books and the 1981 movie. In the comic books, Splinter was Yamato Yoshi, Yamato Yoshi's pet. In the movie, Splinter was Yamato Yoshi's pet in Japan. In the cartoon, Hamato Yoshi turns into Splinter. I guess, and another fact of the matter, not trying to spoil the comic books, but Shredder was killed in like the first issue or so. So, yeah, the Turtles were really violent in the comic books. They all wore the same color bandanas. The only reason they changed the bandanas for the cartoon was, I guess, so that they could have some way of telling the Turtles apart. As the intro said, Leonardo leads. He's the leader of the group. He carries a katana, wears the blue headband. And Donatello does machines, which means he's like the computer geek and the genius of the group. He wears the purple headband and carries the bow staff. Raphael is cool but crude, which means that Raphael's like the I ain't gonna take no shit member of the group, the badass. He wears the red bandana and carries the sai, and Michelangelo is the party dude. Michelangelo would like to do nothing better than play video games, watch TV, eat a lot of pizza, and go skateboarding and all that. He's the radical dude. And then, of course, you had the famous phrase, "Cowabunga!" that was uttered in almost every episode of Ninja Turtles, or radical dude, and all this. So let's go back to the beginning of the series. In 1987, the miniseries showed us how the Turtles came to be. Hamato Yoshi was driven from Japan after Oroku Saki, who is the Shredder, pins his robe to the wall, and they think that Hamato Yoshi is trying to kill visiting sensei to the foot school. So Amato Yoshi is sent to, well, he's not sent, he flees from Japan to New York City, where he lives in the sewers. One day, this boy carrying these baby turtles in a bowl slips and falls. The bowl breaks, the turtles fall down the sewer. So Amato Yoshi, having no friends, decides to take care of the turtles. And when he does, one day he comes back, he went somewhere, and he came back and seen they was crawling in this strange glowing stuff that he called mutagen. And since they had most recently been in contact with Amato Yoshi, who was a human, the turtles started to become human. But Amato Yoshi had most recently been with the rats, because before the turtles came along, that was his only friends. So he became a rat and was named Splinter. He found this old Renaissance art book, and he named the turtles Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, and Michelangelo out of Renaissance painters. Then enters April O'Neil. She's a news reporter for Channel 6, and she's doing a news story when she's attacked by a gang and is saved by the turtles in the sewer. Well, at first she can't believe it and thinks that the turtles are the bad guys. But then we find out that there's this evil man named the Shredder, who has got a friend, or let's say more like Krang was his boss, from Dimension X. So Shredder finds out about the turtles and tries to destroy them in many ways throughout the series. Krang is a brain that when he was banished from Dimension X to Earth, he lost his body. So he's trying to get Shredder to build him a new body. So that's pretty much the gist of the first season. Shredder builds him a new body, and Shredder comes up with an anti-mutagen gun that can return Splinter to human form, but if the turtles get shot with it, then they'll become 4 baby turtles again. There's a space gate is what I'd call it, or a dimensional portal that Krang opens, and these teenagers from Dimension X that drive hot rods that fly, called the neutrinos, come through, followed by 2 rock soldiers, and Treg and Morg, I think was their names, and they're trying to catch the neutrinos, because in Dimension X it's just a planet of war, and the neutrinos want to have fun. So it's up to the turtles to help them outsmart Trag and Morg, but Trag uses a weather dominator, which changes the weather and stuff. So in one episode, Leonardo has to jump out of the neutrinos' flying car and slice it in two. We're introduced to Baxter Stockman in the first season. Baxter Stockman made these mouse traps called mousers to track and catch mice. And Shredder figured that with a bigger scale of them, he could finally stop Splinter. So he hires Baxter to build like 1,000 or more mousers and all this to try to catch Splinter. Well, that's the first miniseries, or the first season as they call it. And at the end of that season, Donatello reprograms the dimensional portal and sucks the Technodrome along with Krang and Shredder and Bebop and Rocksteady, which I'll talk about here in a second, into Dimension X. So they're caught in Dimension X. Now, on to Bebop and Rocksteady, the 2 greatest villains in the Ninja Turtles series. They are pretty much stupid and idiots. Bebop is a warthog and Rocksteady is a rhino. In one of the first episodes of the series, Bebop and Rocksteady were transformed by Shredder. But they're just bumbling idiots, which is what makes it good. And as the series progressed, there was some episodes where Bebop and Rocksteady got superpowers. There was more to do with the Dimensional X gateway and all this. I think the neutrinos made another appearance. Um, but as the series went on, it just seemed to get better and better until like the final two seasons. They got more cheesy and cheesy. Can't forget when Shredder turned the frogs into mutants, Napoleon Bona frog and all that. You can't forget when Baxter Stockman was turned into the Fly, aka like the Fly in the movie. Baxter Stockman was turned into a fly. The episode Case of the Killer Pizzas, where Baxter and Shredder concocted this plan to put these eggs of some kind of like alien on the pizza, and when they microwaved it or it got around heat, they hatched into these yellow monsters. A lot of great episodes of Ninja Turtles. Can't forget the Once Upon a Time Machine episode where Hokum Hare, who is from alternate dimension, like a cartoony Easter dimension, finds out that Shredder wants to destroy the Ninja Turtles by going back, instead of going back to the past, wants to go to the future and destroy the old turtles. So the new turtles, or younger turtles, has to go to the future to try to help their old selves battle Shredder before he wipes them from existence. Because you know, if they're destroyed in the future, they're destroyed in the past. But in the future, the old turtles have brought crime to a stop, and it's pretty much a peaceful place. The episode that predated the Once Upon a Time Machine episode was called The Turtles and the Hare, which was when Donatello had this portal he accidentally opened, and they was sucked into the Easter world and had to try to get back out and all that. Also, there was a primetime special where the turtles found out there was a planet of turtleoids which were peaceful. And there was this three-headed like dragon thing that always attacked them and stuff. And there was two new villains in that special. Dirtbag and I forgot the other guy's name. I think it was Bullseye. But it was a bull and like a groundhog. And Dirtbag would wear like mining gear and have like a pickaxe, and they would make cameos in later episodes of the series, but other than that special, they pretty much didn't use them much. But Ninja Turtles lasted quite a long time for a show based on, cartoon characters that they just made out of, like I said, it was just a joke. But Ninja Turtles lasted 10 seasons for a total of 193 episodes. And the show was finally ended on November 2nd, 1996, when it aired its final episode. Now we got to get to some other turtle history. Just because the Ninja Turtle show was canceled in the 90s, 1990, 1991, and 1992, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on the years. But the Ninja Turtles movies were released to theaters. The first one was a dark movie that was kind of in the vein of the Mirage comics, sort of. It wasn't cartoony with its humor and stuff like that, like the sequels that followed. The 1990 Ninja Turtle movie had swearing in it, which for a kids movie, even though it was just damn, we when the parents took their kids to see that, some complained about Raphael saying damn and all this. When the second one came along, it was just comical. There was not many spots in there that the turtles actually used their weapons at all. And the part 2 was about the ooze that had turned the turtles into what they were. Splinter puts the thing together and it says TCRI. Well, it's supposed to say TCRI because that's what the comic book said, right? But it's TGRI in the movie. But they befriend this boy named Keno, who's a pizza delivery boy, and Raphael discovers that Shredder's still alive. The Turtles have to sneak into a junkyard to save Raphael and all this. But Shredder's got two new mutants. A snapping turtle and I forgot the other thing's name is a Wolverine, I think. But they were called Tokar and Razor. So we was like, hey, man, it's Bebop and Rocksteady going to be in this movie. No, we never got Bebop and Rocksteady in this movie, sadly. But we did get Tokar and Razor. And we got that rockin' tune. Go, Ninja, go, Ninja, go. Go, Ninja, go, Ninja, go. Because Vanilla Ice was like way up here and like 1991 when that movie come out. And now, in 2018, Vanilla Ice is so low, you never hear from him anymore. Then in 92, we got the sequel that people always want to say was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, Turtles in Time, named after the classic Super Nintendo game Turtles in Time. But no, there was no subtitle to the movie. It's just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. And in this one, April had bought a scepter at a yard sale for Splinter. And somehow, the scepter reacts and it transfers the turtles back to medieval Japan and sends other people to present-day New York. So April rides the scepter first, so the turtles have to ride the scepter to wherever they end up, and they have to save April. So we got Elias Koteas returning as Casey Jones from the first one. If you've seen the cartoon, Casey Jones always wore the hockey mask and was kind of like a foe to the Turtles. But then he became their friend. It's like one of his ancestors, and they're trying to stop a guy who is trying to sell guns and stuff to Noriyaga, medieval Japan emperor. Yeah, it's stupid. It's full of corny one-liners like, were you expecting maybe the Addams family? And help, I'm a turtle and I'm falling and I can't get up. And I just ate a frog. I hope it wasn't an ancestor. But the best part of the movie to me was when at the end, Walker, that was his name, who was trying to sell the guns to Noriyaga, shoots this cannon and Leonardo ducks his head into his shell and he's like, hee. He pokes it up. God, I love being a turtle. That's the best part of Part 3. But Part 3 is not bad by any means. I know a lot of critics hate Part 3, but it is what it is. They didn't use the Jim Henson Creature Shop like they did for the first movie, but still it was good. They used the Creature Shop for the first two movies, and then there was some kind of dispute between the studio that they didn't want to use Jim Henson's Creature Studios for the animatronics and stuff, and the animatronics were bad in Part 3. 2007, we got an animated movie, which I'm not going to talk about that because I really don't know much about that. I just know that Raphael is tired of being in the shadow of Leo, and so he goes off on his own and becomes a Dark Turtle. Then we have the Michael Bay remakes. The first one I thought sucked. I did not like it much at all. I just found it very stupid. Michelangelo was very creepy. They look like Shreks. And the second one, they changed their looks a little bit, and we finally got Bebop and Rocksteady. So Part 2 was actually pretty good. Y'all check that out just to see Bebop and Rocksteady, because we've been wanting to see Bebop and Rocksteady for years. Now, to mention merchandising, the Ninja Turtles were on a bunch of shit. There was coloring books, action figures, video games. And if you want to see how bad I suck at the first Ninja Turtles NES game, then it's on my channel. Just go check out my videos in my playlist called I Suck at Video Games. Yes, Ninja Turtles, the first game is notoriously hard. The second game was an arcade game they ported over to the NES, which I have memories of playing that. at a local little mall in my town. That was like it was like a little mall where you bought clothes and stuff. I mean, it was just like a little place, but they had like this fountain and had this game. Like, I think they only had two games there, and the only one I can remember was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, just putting quarters in it. And then they made 3, the Manhattan Project for NES. Then Turtles in Time came out, which is probably one of the greatest Ninja Turtles games ever made. Although I love Turtles 2 and Turtles 3 on the NES, Turtles in Time was good. And then there was the Hyperstone Crisis, which was same gameplay pretty much as the Turtles in Time game. And that was a very fun game to play. That came out, I'm not sure if it came out on the Super Nintendo, but I know it came out on the Sega. They was bed sheets. They was candy. They was everything. They probably made toilet paper that you could wipe your ass with the Ninja Turtles. Now, that would be cool if they made some Shredder toilet paper where you wiped your ass on Shredder's face. Yeah. I mean, there's a semi-new series of Ninja Turtles on Nickelodeon since Nickelodeon bought the rights to it now. And, yeah, Ninja Turtles. It's one of those cartoons and those franchises that stand the test of time until Michael Bay gets a hold of it and then makes it suck. But, Ninja Turtles, yeah, classic show. Well, I hope you enjoyed sitting in here with me and hearing me rant about Ninja Turtles. Maybe one of these days I'll do one about some other favorite cartoons of mine from the 80s and just do like an in-depth talk, or try to anyway. But until next time, I hope y'all have a great day, and cowabunga, dudes!